Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Silo Season 1, Episode 10 reaction and review. Congratulations, everybody. We've made it. We're all outside the silo now. Everything is great. We're
Oh my
not gonna
goodness.
die. Like we're all fine,
There's
right?
not 20 more silos. Like, oh my goodness, that ending. This was crazy.
Yeah.
We're not book readers. We have never read the books. We don't know any spoilers. So going into this, we really didn't know what to expect. And by the time we got to
Yeah.
this ending with Juliet outside and looking around, and it's like, maybe they're actually telling everybody the truth. Not all the truth, but maybe it's not okay outside. But maybe there's like 20 other silos. I was like, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it.
I done went and lost my mind at the end of this episode, like if I'm being totally honest, because I came up with about like 30 different ideas as to what was going on. Like half of them were immediately wrong. Like I was so obsessed with the end of this episode because all season long, I think we've all been obsessed, especially us non-book readers who don't really know anything. It's like, okay, what's outside the silo? Are Holston and Alliston still alive? Like, what's going on there? Is everybody just being lied to constantly?
Yeah, like I felt like this whole season, everyone was being lied to, and I was being lied to as well. Not necessarily that everything was perfect outside, because we had all seen, the green with the same formation of the birds. Like we all knew something
Yeah.
was up, but at the same time, it was like, okay, well, if they're lying about that, then they're probably lying about a bunch of other stuff. So nothing they show me, I believe. Like everything that they're looking at the cafeteria, I'm like, that's a lie. The birds, that's a lie. Everything you see, it's all a lie. Nobody's being honest with you. So to have this like
Yeah.
ending where it seems almost like, was it a lie? Or is there a problem outside? I was just like, I truly didn't expect it.
Well, here's the thing, everybody. We're here to help break down the ending. What really happened? We'll explain it. If you're new to the channel, I'm Matt Rose. This is Jessica Bun. We have so much to get into. But also, if you guys did not know, there's a season 2 of Silo. That has been confirmed.
Yeah.
And if you head over to our Patreon, we have a link to that in the description below. We have a Patreon exclusive discussion all about season 2, what we know about it
Yep.
so far. I think it's going to be really fun. Clearly, it's going to be absolutely insane based on the ending of this.
So crazy. Okay, let's just
Yeah.
jump into this ending,
Yep.
because the whole episode was sort of this build up of Juliet's going to go outside. She's
Yeah.
going to go outside and clean. I mean, the episode's called Outside. They finally convinced her that they were like, listen, we'll let you know what really happened with George if you just accept that you're going outside and stop fighting it. Don't ask for an appeal, just go outside, sort of thing. She's like, okay, that's fine. I'll do that, because
Yeah.
she's got some plans, and we'll get more into that with the heat tape and the wool and everything that was going on with that. But
Yeah.
her going outside, we have watched this scene an unhealthy amount
Oh,
of
no.
times.
Oh, boy.
So
Yeah.
many times, because there were some things I was like, okay, if this is real and it turns out that outside is just not okay and you're going to go outside and you're actually going to die, because I had a theory that they were actually being either like poisoned in their mask, or they were having like a sleeping gas in their mask, and then whoever was researching them was then scooping up their bodies, that their bodies weren't really there. We watched this scene so many times when they actually had the big pan around.
Yeah.
That was not from the vision of her mask anymore, but it was what we were seeing.
Yeah.
What is like the reality, where it is all destitute. There's nothing out there except a whole bunch of silos. We can see tons and tons of them, a city in the distance. And I was like, there's that tree where those bodies are supposed to be. Is Allison and Holston actually there? And it was very hard to see if they were actually there or not, but it looks like they are.
This took some like A-grade freeze framing, like examining, is that a rock? Is that a dead body? Because
Yeah.
here's a part of the thing. I think, whether it's good or bad, we all live in this culture where we all want to take a W. We all want to like do a victory lap around the street being like, I got it, I called it, I called it, I called it. And I was like, I had thought about the idea of multiple silos. So I was like feeling myself at a certain
Mhm.
point. But then I've also been, tooting this horn that Allison and Holston were still alive.
I
And
thought so too. I
I
mean, you're gonna have two big stars on here and
yeah,
then just scream the situation and kill off Drew Barrymore in the first
yeah.
5 minutes.
I was so desperate to believe that I was still right, that they were alive, that I was trying to come up with ways to explain everything and try to be in denial that like their bodies weren't there and that they were either carted off somewhere by some other people to be nursed back to health and all these other things. But it's like,
I thought they were being studied somewhere.
ultimately though, I gotta, that's not an L. That's an L. I have to take the L here because I think they are kaput. I think they're gone. I think what we're looking at here is clearly a situation where Bernard, all the other people running the silo, like there's a certain measure of truth to the idea that it's not safe to be out there. There's something clearly very wrong with the air. However, I think they are also not being altogether truthful, obviously, with the idea that this is not the only silo in the world, but beyond all of that, just the idea that there are ways to get around this if your suit is properly taken care of and properly insulated from all of this.
Yeah, I mean, Juliet coming up with this tape idea. I mean, they call it wool, and it was such a great, cool reveal idea. Watching Bernard's face when he was just like, "Oh no, oh no, she's figured it out. This isn't great." And watching him like running using the 18 key, which then sort of to me is connected that this is silo number
Yeah.
18, that there's all these other silos, and he goes running into this room and we don't see anything else from him. But at that same moment, we do see Juliet's visor go from the bird formation in the green to what it actually is outside, which I thought was really interesting because it kind of left it up to interpretation. Is it that Bernard did something and tried to take away what she was looking at, the greenery, and just show her what's there? Or did he just not get there in time and she crossed over this threshold where, there was not a signal anymore and she wasn't able to see anything anymore? We saw her get up to the top of the hill where the tree is, where Holston should have been, and put the badge down, and we sort of saw the vision get like, all pixelated and stuff. I think she was just getting out of service.
I think there was a glitch in the matrix there, everybody. It's either, it was out of service. Like this body clearly is not a part of the simulation. That's
Yeah.
not supposed to be there. It is. There's something very interesting when it comes to Bernard's sort of role in all of this. Like,
Oh yeah, he's the outside inside guy. He
Yeah.
knows.
like there's a compelling argument that like, okay, he has disabled this for her to see what it's really like. But there's also kind of like this part of me at the same time that's just like, why would he do that at this point? Like,
I
why would he
agree.
let her live in this sort of delusion? Because at the end of the day, they're very careful about not letting their secrets get out. So I think if he can sort of make her think that this is all hunky dory and eventually be like, oh, and just like walking around being peaceful, and then just like something comes and just like tears her apart and she's gone, then that benefits him.
Yeah, I think it's just they haven't had this happen before, so
No.
they don't really know what to do, because he was basically like, "Oh, she's almost at the hill. She'll be dead
Yeah.
at the hill. No problems. None. We don't have anything to really worry about."
Yeah.
But, the idea of having this greenery and the birds and whatever seems to be the thing that makes people clean. That they go
Yeah.
outside and they're like, "Oh, it's beautiful out here. People inside need to see this. I'm going to clean it as best I can so that people can see what I see," kind of thing. Maybe they just can't see it because it's dirty, but she decides, of course, not to clean, which shocks everybody. And then she makes it over the hill, which shocks everybody even more. It's going to be very interesting next season to see how the people inside the silo deal with it, where they've seen somebody actually leave and not die.
Okay, my absolute favorite moment of the entire episode is Juliet going up there, holding the rag, just dropping it in front. Like, man, I
That's cold.
I one day hope to be as awesome as Juliet was in that moment. I was just like, I'm so proud of you, fictional character that I have been rooting for so long. Okay, here's the craziest tinfoil hat theory I have. I'm just throwing this on now.
All right.
Now that we're 10 minutes into this,
All
and
right.
amidst me losing my mind yesterday about various theories to sort of indicate that Holston and Allison were still alive, I came up with this, and I still want to believe a part of it, and I refuse to let this go. You mentioned there's a city in the background.
There is a city.
Now,
It doesn't look like it's in great shape, but it's there.
it doesn't look like it's in great shape. However, is it in horrible shape? And what I mean by this is it's been established that these people have been in the silo for well over a century at this point.
Mhm.
If this city has been barren for over a century, would it look even worse? Granted, we didn't get an up close and personal look at it. We were at a distance. It's kind of hard to tell. I still am not willing to give up on the idea that there might be people who have found a way to survive in that city. Because clearly, if you got the wool tape, if you got whatever else on that's proper, you can survive out in this world. So who's to say that like there aren't people that are out there who are a part of this? Because I want to sort of envision a season 2 that gives Juliet as many different possibilities as humanly possible, where she can visit another silo, which I think there's a pretty good chance of that at this point. It's not going to take her long to find one. Or
No.
she could be like, what is that thing? And then just like wander her way over there. Like, I think if nothing else, she's got to consider it, right?
Yeah, I would be surprised if she decided to go to any of the other silos right away. I would see that city in the distance and be like, I got a better chance there than I do in any of these silos. They just sent me out to clean. She's going to see all these other silos. I think she's going to make her way to the city. However,
Yeah.
I think all these silos are attached underground. So they're close enough that that door that George had seen, that, Juliet had mentioned to Bernard. I was actually kind of surprised she did, when she was like, that door at the bottom of the silo, and his face like, yeah, I know about the door. Like, he had that look like, I know about the door. How do you know about the door, kind of thing. I think that those doors are just an attachment to all the silos, so that you don't have to go outside, that you can get to all the silos. I don't think it's just necessarily that you're in a silo and you just can't get out unless you go outside. I think there has to be a way that's an underground sort of tunnel connection through all these silos. Not all these people can be connected, they just don't know it, but Bernard knows it.
Structural integrity. 2 words, everybody. Listen, if you're the fire marshal at the silo, are you going to be okay with there only being one way to eventually escape? It makes sense that there would be another way to go. Oh, something really bad is happening at this silo. Maybe we should find a way to get some people elsewhere. Obviously, it would be the last of the last resorts here, but, I refuse to accept the idea that, like, something happens to the silo and Bernard's just going to be like, well, we're all gonna die now. This is fine.
Well, the other thing is like, these silos can't be cheap.
No.
Like, the amount of money that was put into making one silo, let alone 20 silos. I really wonder what's going on in that city. Like, is this city just full of scientists and people sort of watching out what's going on in these silos? Like, who, they're like, oh, we don't know how these silos got here, but like, we're all in them. Like, who did this for us? Well, is it the people in the city? I'm so curious.
I feel like it's either the people in the city or that it was just like some centralized government who sort of like knew, oh, the world is coming to a close here. We need to sort of find a way to ensure that everyone has a sort of proper ending in place so that they can survive for as long as humanly possible. Like, there's got to be some sort of mechanism designed so that everything can sustain itself. I mean, yeah, the big mystery is, we've seen a little bit of like power cores and everything in engineering, but like power sources externally, like, where are all the solar panels, guys? Like, you could find a way to sort of keep yourselves going there, but okay, it's time to discuss Billings. I am in a deep emotional quagmire at the moment with Billings, guys. I either need a hug or a drink. I can't figure out which one because I'm still not letting go of Billings.
No,
I'm
I'm all team
yeah,
Billings. Like, I know he's in kind of a tough situation. That conversation with Sims, where Sims was basically like, all you've done all these things. You arrested me. My family was in danger.
yeah,
Like, and I see that you have silo syndrome. I was just like, oh no.
yeah.
Oh no, everything is going so badly. What you are doing to him. But, it seems like he's going to get some sort of like a pass that they're going to, allow him to continue on. He's going to have some sort of special allowance. I was surprised by it.
I
Especially after arresting Sims, that then Sims would be like, "Don't worry, I got you. We'll figure a way around it." I was just like, "What?
are
What you
sheriff
are doing, Sims?"
are sheriffs in this short of supply and decide it doesn't seem like it because you guys went from Holston to Juliette to Billings. It feels like you could find
3 in a season.
yeah, you could find someone else because he has clearly gone rogue a little bit, but I will give Billings a good bit of credit here. You're doing your best. Like you may not do everything I like all the time, but at the end of the day, you don't want to go clean. You have a family to think about. I understand all of that, but you have a lot of information that you are not telling anybody about. You're being very, very smart about this. You have found your version of the survivor hidden immunity idol, and you're not going around being like, guess what I got, everybody?
Yeah, but does it matter now? Because now that's sort of the question. Now we've seen what outside actually looks like. It doesn't look like this manual. They have information in there that isn't what's going on outside of this silo. So like that's where it gets into this really
Yeah,
strange dilemma where it's like they have information that is from the past but isn't what is going on now, and this is why the silo's like, oh, you need to not have this stuff because then you're going to get ideas, you're going to go outside
yeah,
and you're going to die. Like, this isn't great. And of course for the whole season I'm like,
yeah,
you guys are liars. But now it's like, oh no, like it's true. You go outside and you're probably gonna die if you don't have the right, wool sort of thing. But let's get into Sims
yeah.
because when Juliet actually got up this image for everyone to see, and all the monitors turned green and Bernard was losing his mind. Everybody look away, look away. I was like, oh my goodness, pretend you didn't see that. I was like, what is happening here? Sims was included in that,
Yeah.
and he saw and he did look away and he stayed looking away. And it seemed like maybe it was enough for Bernard to be like, hey, maybe I was a little too hasty about not making you my shadow. But what I really think it is that Sims knows too much.
Yeah.
And now he knows this, that Bernard was like, I need to bring him in a little bit further or things could really go bad.
Bernard, you're such a loser. Like, really?
He's so manipulative.
Yeah, it's like, you think that Sims, okay, Sims obviously courts a certain degree of power. Like, that has
Yeah.
been made clear on this show. Like, Bernard, my dude, you're not really my dude, but my dude, you think that Sims is not going to be aware of what you're doing? Where he's just like, hey, old buddy, old pal, how about, maybe maybe I spoke a little bit too soon. Come on in. You're good here. The water's fine. Like,
Yeah.
he's got to be like, okay, you don't want anything to get out. And yeah, I will play your game for now because it benefits me to play your game for now. But maybe Sims, of all people, this is where I'm going to get myself in trouble.
Oh, is he going to have some big redemption arc?
Yes.
Is he on the redemption
Yes,
arc?
Sims, I believe in you. You can be the shadow who was promised. You can be the person who really
No!
rallies.
Billings is the shadow who was promised.
Can they be together in all of this? Can they be like, I was trying to think of like a Batman and Robin situation, but that suggests one of them is inferior to the other, and I don't think that has to be the case. Can you both be Batman? Can you both work together? Because this is where I think ultimately this has to go in season 2 for this to get really interesting, is that like you can't put this toothpaste back in the tube at this point. You can try to deny everything you want to the end of the world, but I think in between this, Mirjans, what happened to Mars. It's just like there are too many suspicious things at one point for all of these people in the silo to just like cover their eyes and ears and think that it's all going to be fine.
Was anyone surprised that Bernard actually upheld his end of the deal with George? Because I was a little bit where, all of a sudden he's opening up the room and he's letting her in. I know he thinks she's going to die anyways, but at the same time, like, there was still enough time in between that for her to tell some people what she saw. I mean, the people who are taping her up, she could have been like, you know what I saw? You know what I just saw? This room filled with monitors. They're all watching. She could have said anything. What's he going to do about it? Send her out to clean? She was already on her way out.
It's weird, but I almost feel like he did that for himself more than Juliette, because I think Bernard doesn't think of himself as a villain. I think he thinks, I'm a good guy. I'm doing the best by these people.
I agree. I think he thinks he's the hero in the story.
And I think he's developed a serious case of main character syndrome in this moment. And he's just like, I'm going to give this to you to show how good a guy I am. That even though you have gone against me, you have done all this sort of stuff, I'm still going to give you this moment of peace. And I'm going to give you even the illusion of a blue sky so that, you clean. And that also helps us. But also, you get to have that moment where you think that the world is really better. So you see what I'm doing for you. See how nice I am. No, you're a loser, Bernard. This has already been established. But you really, really want people to think that you are something better.
Yeah, and I think that was part of why not only did he give her that answer, but that he gave her an answer that was he wasn't murdered. He did this. This was a choice that he made and threw himself over the side. And even as I was watching that video, this show has done some things to me, Matt, where it's just like, I don't believe anything I see on video on this show until now that I've seen the actual end, and outside is kind of what they're saying that it is. I saw this video of George being like, no, I will take this information to the grave with me. Goodbye. I'm out. I was like, I don't know if this is real.
Like, okay.
This show has made me so paranoid.
I think it's real.
I think it's real, but it made me so paranoid.
I get your point. Like, there is always that 1% chance that, like, none of this is exactly, it's all been manipulated or whatever else here. Now, here's what I just want everybody to think about somebody else here for a moment here. Lucas. I think Lucas is going to be the X factor of this story in a lot of ways moving forward, because he's clearly very, very smart. He's clearly got just a major moral dilemma here in terms of how far he's willing to go for the sake of others. But it's like, congratulations, Lucas, after everything you've done, after everything you didn't do for Juliette. This is where all this got you. It got you a one-way ticket to the mines. You better learn the error of some of your ways. You could be with the other Batmans. I don't think you have earned the Batman title right now.
No, Lucas has done nothing. I'm sorry.
I'm not giving up on him.
Listen, 10 years in the mines for not really helping seems like kind of a ridiculous punishment. He didn't really help her that much. She did most of it on her own. She showed him what she had and what she knew. Like, he didn't really do much of anything. I'm sorry. Enjoy the mines.
Think about Bernard, you scared. You scared because you see him staring at the stars and all this other stuff in the cafeteria. You know he's smart. He ain't going to be working in these mines for that long. He's going to figure this out because the Batman Coalition is going to overthrow Bernard in season 2. Everything is going to change. Listen, I actually have no idea what's happening in season 2.
No, we have no idea. Like we said at the beginning of this video, we don't know any of the source material. This is all, we're going into it as you guys just watching the show.
Here's what I'll say. This isn't a book spoiler. It's just that some of the early books of this series are titled Wool, and I was just like, why is it called that? Like,
I had no idea either because we haven't read the book. So like, when they were like pulling out the heat tape or whatever, and it's called Wool, I was like, oh, that's all I know about the books is that it's called Wool, and I know nothing else.
It was like the greatest light bulb moment for both of us. Like, so I was like, oh, we both figured it out, guys. Okay, now we get to go cry because this is over. And
it is over. It's a while till the next one.
But you know what? At least we're leaving on a high note. Like, I think this is a really, really good finale. And I think this
Great
is
finale.
a really good first season. And it is further solidifying my love of Apple TV Plus as a streaming service. They got so much good stuff, everybody.
I know you're so down the hole
I
with
am
them.
so down the hole.
They really do have a lot of great TV.
Yeah, so I'm really going to miss this show, but thank you guys for watching, hanging out with us. Like we said earlier, we have a season 2 discussion on our Patreon.
Yep.
If you want to check that out, link is in the description. Thank you to all of our patrons for your support, and we'll see you here next time.